Y'all ready?
Jordan got Coach of the Year, and Kevin Spanheimer got Player of the Year.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Wayne's turn to do the prayer, so you want to go?
I did it last. Connor's turn.
I'll do it.
I did it the last meeting.
All right. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Call to order. County Commissioner meeting on Monday, November 22nd, 2021 at 2 o'clock. As always, we'll start with invocation. I'll ask Commissioner Cox if she'd lead us, please.
Stand, please. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to be here to do the business for the county and the citizens of Stokes County. We pray that you give us wisdom and guidance in our decision-making today. We ask that you lead, guide, and direct us in all that we say and do, and grant us travel mercies home. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Please continue standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we do the approval of the agenda, it's been asked to add a discussion of the Christmas meal for the county under be item G under discussion. Do I have a motion on
Make
this?
a motion to approve the agenda as amended with item G under discussion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
In discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now move on to our public comments. As always, you have 4 minutes to speak. If you would, please say your name, your address. Once the timer goes off, I think, when you two have that? Okay. Once you hear the timer go off, if you can, please wrap it up pretty quick. We'll move on. Up first, we have Mr. Bob Ritter.
I thank you for the opportunity to come up and speak. It's my understanding that what I'm speaking about, the water tower off of Ball Loop Road, is pretty well decided on. However, I don't think, and that's based on the fact that supposedly there hasn't been any real concern about it other than what I spoke about. But I don't think the residents of the area truly know the size of that tower and what all is going to be entailed. So I have a couple things, with a tower 175 feet in the air, the tree line's not going to block it, and 100,000 gallons of water, that's a big tower. So with it decided, I've got a couple things I'd like to have, or ask to have. One is, any house within a quarter of a mile, if they go up for sale and cannot sell their home for at least the tax value, the assessed tax value, within a year's time, that the county make up the difference in that sale price between what the sale went for and what the tax value is. Another thing would be that there's never any form of fee or penalty for residents in Stokes County to not hook up to the system. I think that would be more than fair. I understand it happened over in King with that system, and I would hope that it wouldn't happen to us in our area of Meadows. And then the other thing would be is if, in fact, the aqua systems for the houses within a quarter of a mile of the area were affected by these wells to feed this or supply this tank, that the county would come in and dig a new well for those residents. They're the things that I'm asking for if we're going to have this tower.
Bob, would you repeat the third one?
Pardon me?
Would you repeat the third one you said? The last one, I missed that.
That if for any reason the aqua system is affected by the number of wells that are dug to supply this tank, then the county would come in and dig a new well for that particular resident or residents affected by that.
Thank you.
So I don't know that that would occur, but should it happen, I think it would be fair. So that's all I have to say, and thank you again for letting me come up and speak.
Thank you for your time. Up next, Mr. Brad Chandler.
Good afternoon, everybody. Brad Chandler, 1457 Forest Road, Westfield. I'm here to just talk about the proposed manager's contract. I only want to talk about process. I'm not talking about any individual, any type of negativity. I just have some questions and some thoughts on the actual, some of the elements that are in the contract. So first of all, I don't quite understand a 5-year, why it's a 5-year contract if the manager would be let go by the board for other than what is cause. And that's been quite defined, pretty specific in the contract. So I don't know about the 5-year, why that is. I totally agree with severance packages. I mean, that's typical in city managers and county managers. That's the nature of the business, and I totally support it. But that's typically for a candidate that's coming from the outside, that's leaving another manager's job or an assistant manager's job, and is moving to a new community, and they've been selected. And so you give them a little bit of a buffer. But I've never heard of a 5-year where you're guaranteeing someone for 5 years as long as they don't assault somebody or drink on property, on duty and on government property. Some of that stuff is just kind of very narrowly stretched, which leads me to this. So what about performance evaluations? So if you, as the Board of Commissioners, she reports to you, and you're giving her her job performance evaluation, or the manager, whoever it is, and what if doesn't meet expectations? So you can't let her go according to the contract, because that's not into just cause. And when you talk about FLSA, which is specifically prior to 2015, you had a very hard suspending people or giving ultimate discipline to an exempt employee, which the county manager is. Well, in 2015, they changed it. They say now it's not, you don't have to get at least a massive suspension of at least of a week. What they do is they go along now with progressive discipline, just like a normal county employee. So if that's not in the contract, doesn't apply to the county manager, then what else in that arena of the rules doesn't apply? I totally support your selection. You have the knowledge. I trust your ability, but I don't trust the concept of the 5-year contract. I don't trust the concept of just what is deemed as cause. 5 years is a long time. That's a long severance package. I've never heard such a large severance, but I've been in government 35 years. That's a lot. I want to retain competent and qualified employees, and I want to attract, because it helps all of us. But I just think that some things need just to be a little bit more clear. And when you define an evaluation, one of the common errors people, when you do evaluation, you make general statements like, great job, great employee. Well, you got to get more specific than that. Show me examples. Created a new website that interacts with the public, whatever. That gives me confidence. I'm just speaking for myself now, but that gives me confidence that there was some thought and process of doing that. Anyway, thank you for your time, and I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. So Larry Boyer.
Thank you, Board, for this time. Nothing against you, Shannon, but I stand in opposition to the contract. And along the last guy that just spoke, mainly out of paragraph 7, and being the 5-year contract and the event that the county elects to terminate Shaver's employment without cause, that she would receive that 5-year funds. I think that's, I believe that's pretty steep, and I stand in opposition to that. I don't believe the job's been competitive. I believe, I spoke highly of you, Shannon, I have, to some of these board members, and I don't think that, that this job's been competitive. We need to allow other people the opportunity maybe to advertise it. This paragraph 7 just seems like a major golden parachute that many people have talked about. I don't believe it's been transparent in the process. Another thing I hate about it, it's we do this at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when personally I have to take leave to come here because I'm still entitled to be on the clock. So it takes up people's opportunity or people's time, their leave, their jobs, and they lose pay. The constituents, they wanted to know about this very contract. I printed this contract off on Saturday before the GOP breakfast, and it became a topic there. And there was constituents that had questions about this contract, and it was said that our chair had a Christmas party, a company Christmas party, and so they wanted to know who wrote it. And I had no explanation because I didn't know who wrote it. I assumed maybe attorney wrote it, our county attorney maybe. But, it had multiple signature blocks on it. So I said, I don't know, come and find out. And then one last thing on the contract. I've been told that there's 50 people in this county government that are ready to walk out based on this contract. That's how aggravated they are. And I don't work here, I don't know, but that's what I've been told. And I got 2 more topics. Andy, you, in the last meeting, 2 weeks ago, you had the hospital meeting, and you had and then the county commissioner meeting. And in that hospital meeting, you brought up things that you had heard in the community. And I was kind of aggravated by that, the way that administrator was treated. But I don't want, but me and you mentioned things on the community. I received 2 things from this community this past week or the last couple of weeks, and I just want to touch on it. And whoever's in charge of, whether it be the county manager, interim county manager, I think these things really need to be checked out. And one of them was county heads, whether it be 2, whether it be 3, whether it be 4, on a company or a county credit card and a county car at lunch for 3 hours on a county credit card. And then last
Can you tell us who that was?
I would ask that you all check that out.
Well, we'll have to have a
Because,
name.
Andy, the thing about it, in elections, and I'm gonna run my time out here, we hire you, we elect you to be public servants, and that's one of the things, is to watch these folks.
That's why I'm asking
Yeah.
you. Did
I
you see
will-
something that we don't see?
I don't have the video, but people here have video.
Okay,
So-
would you mind sending that video to our county
I
manager?
don't have the video, but this has been said, and being you brought community events forward,
What I'm trying to say is, if you had the video, would you mind passing that along? Or if you know about it, I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Okay.
But if you know somebody who has it, can you pass that along? I don't go with hearsay. We
if
got,
I
you
get
know.
it, if I
Okay.
get it, if they'll give it, I will.
Okay.
I will. Lastly, I've been told, another thing of the community, I've been told that we have, now I know that here in the last few months, we've had talk about the historical trail or whatever this is in our county, that I've been told that we have a sitting county commissioner and a director head buying up land that they know that the state would buy here soon or in the future. And I believe
Can
this.
you go ahead and please announce who it is?
And I believe this to be insider training. If it's being done,
Well, go ahead and announce who it is.
I'm not the one investigating it, but this has been said. So because you brought stuff from the community, I want to bring stuff from the community
I haven't
too.
bought no land in the community.
I didn't say Andy.
I haven't bought any land.
Okay,
And I haven't bought any.
okay. Okay, all right. So whoever's reviewing that or investigating that, it'll show up. So that's all I have. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Rob Wall.
Good afternoon. Rob Wall, 1182 Dunlap Road, Madison. Just here, I'll be brief and I'll be gone. I'd like to thank each of you for your time, your service, commitment to our community. Echo what the gentlemen have said prior to me about the management job. 30 years of military service, active duty, come back to here, 4 years of federal contracting. So return back here in June to live at home, raise my family, support the community, and which I love. But more especially, hiring practices of those that sit in some of the seats, whether it's on the school board side that oversees that, or whether it's the county commissioner side. So my thing is this, not getting fair shake to get an interview, as promised, not this board, but the school board itself and some of those. But this also goes back to the managers and serving as an interim manager previously in another municipality. I do echo what the folks said prior. I do find it to be, we all have jobs, we all have things that we need to do, we have stressors in our life, whether it's personal or professional. If the stress and the compensation prior to is not good enough, that is for you all to decide, and I respect that. You're there, you're elected to those positions. However, when you go to spending some of the salaries that the taxpayers are, we ask that you be good stewards. And in that being a good steward means being fair and impartial with those who you entrust into those positions. So all I ask of you is this, between yourself, the school board, and those entrusted, or that you see that are entrusted, I ask that veterans who return back here get a fair shake, who apply, acknowledged, not only whether it's for the county in one of these seats here, or whether it's working with the school district in itself. I asked all of you sitting in this room to give veterans a fair shake, because there's 3 of us right now that did not get a fair shake. And I know this to be a fact. I've voiced it, and I'm voicing it here today with you all as a concern. So as we move forward, ma'am, I'd like to thank you for your service as well and what you do. But I would ask the board to please consider that as we move forward for your veterans, for those who are raising young family members throughout this county in different areas. As we look, there's more and more veterans that you're going to see that's going to be voicing their opinion who've applied or either looking to come and work with you, for you, in that manner. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll move on to our comments from our manager commissioners. I'll start Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 3 things right quick I'd like to mention. First of all, I serve on the chair as the chair of the board of trustees for the hospital, and our board, and also the hospital operations committee. By the fact that I'm that chair, we got it validated this past week that we're going to receive $10 million in the state budget for renovation and repair of our hospital up here. So money hopefully that can be leveraged to get more money. So the hospital operations committee is going to be putting on some town hall meetings. That it was on this agenda, or the board trustees agenda, one or the other, recently, where this group approved the presentations. They're going to be held out around the county. They're going to be advertised, and they'll have those yellow signs up that the county owns, warning people ahead of time that, or informing people ahead of time that those are going to occur. The purpose of those is to give information to the community on what's going on with hospital and medical services, and then to solicit feedback from the community on what they would like to see in the future for medical services in the county. So, and we hope to gather all that information up and have it available for our next board trustee meeting to give feedback to the commissioners in their role as board of trustees. So would really encourage you to come to the one that's in your community and attend those. Secondly, our board, which is also the board of trustees, had interest in, I think still does, in this vaccine mandate that's going on at the hospital. So I thought I'd give a quick update on that. Since the last presentation or meeting where Pam Tillman gave an update. Not a lot has changed. They have developed their policy, which they're required to do, which includes a medical and religious exemption process. The hospital, along with I think all the hospitals either in North Carolina or maybe nationally, are doing calls today with the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, CMS, and the Nursing Home Association to get further guidance on implementing those mandates if the courts doesn't stop them. So we should have hopefully some more updated information on that for the next Board of Trustees meeting, which is going to be probably prior to our next regular commissioner meeting in December. And then the last thing I had was I saw a U.S. attorney talking on TV the other day, and he made a comment. It was, I think there were public comments going on either at a commissioner meeting or at a school system in another state, and he made a comment that it was unconstitutional to require the speakers to give their home address, and so I would like to ask our attorney to check into that and see if there's any validity to that or not, but if it is, we may need to change our process a little bit. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Other than welcome everybody that's here.
Mr. Renhoff?
Thank you. And I just want to welcome everybody, as I always do at each meeting, for coming out and participating in a governmental process. Thank you for being here today. And for anyone that is watching the live stream, also say welcome to you. And appreciate you being here today, as said before. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cox?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving this week. I hope everybody was able to find their turkeys and got a good deal on them and didn't get price gouged. I'd like to thank Kyle Hall publicly for the state budget and the money that is coming to Stokes County. You alluded to just part of what we will be getting. There's money in there for the water project for Danbury and the connection of the Meadows water project and King, the sewer project for King. There's just a lot of stuff in there, around $60 million coming to Stokes County. So that's huge. And we're planning to make the best of it. Got this RFP we're going to talk about for broadband, so hopefully we can start leveraging all of that money that's available from the state, federal, and local to make that happen for the rural areas. And I'd like to thank Mr. Wall for his service. I appreciate the comments that you had. Anybody else in here that's a veteran? Matter of fact, when we hired Amber, we had a veteran that applied and we interviewed him. And he was a great candidate. Wasn't quite the fit for that job, but we all said if we had anything that we could utilize him for, and we encouraged him to keep applying for other things because he did a great job, had a great interview. So hopefully you'll have the same success.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I do believe it's promoting from within. I support you in that wholeheartedly. It's just some other issues with another board.
Right.
And I would ask for that consideration from all boards as we move forward.
Definitely. I think the fact that you served our country and anybody that does, that ranks really high with me, and I really appreciate that, and I just wanted to make that statement. So that's all I've got.
All right. It's good to see everybody here today and those watching online. I really encourage you to really get your info from these meetings here. That's the reason why they're having a live stream for those who can't make it and don't have to take away time from work. You can watch it anytime you want to. I do share what Commissioner Cox had said about our veterans. Thank y'all for your service. I have some of my family, got high respect for each and every one of you. And it got addressed just a minute ago by a comment about a meeting that happened 2 weeks ago about the way I treated the administrator. And if you go back and watch that meeting, the only thing it was questions because it was clarifying what a lot of people out in the community was hearing. And everything that got answered in that meeting got contradicted from what they were hearing. So that's being more transparent. And that's exactly what the whole point of that meeting right there was. There was no one who was rude. There was no one who got angry. It was just questions asked, questions answered. But what was more concerning that meeting was about the employees. Everybody should have their right to get vaccinated or unvaccinated. That's the way I feel. That's part of being in America. And when you're starting to come down, everybody's short on employees, including this hospital. And I fear what might happen if they don't get the religious exemption. I fear we're in a real bad shape if that don't happen. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and read something just real quick that God had laid on my heart. With recent events that's happened, a lot of lies and stuff have been spreaded. News for those who don't follow the Word of God. Psalms 101:7. He who works in deceit shall not dwell within my house. He that tells lies, do not continue in my presence. That's some strong words. Deceit, meaning being deliberate, concealment of the truth, dishonesty, and trickery. Sounds a lot like Washington, D.C. Sounds a lot like CNN, CNBC, and many other things, including Facebook. This is why our country's in the shape it's in right now. And when you open up your eyes, it's all around us. I choose to live in the presence of God. Am I perfect? No. None of us are. The Bible's very clear on that. Proverbs 12:17 tells us, whoever speaks the truth shall give honest evidence. And we'll read it again. Whoever speaks truth will give honest evidence. But a false witness utters in deceit. In my house, we turned off the news over a year ago. I have done away with Facebook app. I will not look at lies. I will not follow lies. And I will not fight a lie. A lie will not survive. Instead, we turn our energy to taking a class called Keno MTC, which is a deep study of the Bible. Anybody wants information, I'd be more than glad to give it to you. It's a good thing. And within my closing comments right here before I turn it over to our county manager, Proverbs 6 tells us that there are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 things that are detestable to him. Let me share 4 of these with you. 1, a lying tongue. Proverbs 18:21, we are warned that a lie and death are in the power of the tongue. When we lie, we trample on the greater indignity that God has placed in all humans. Number 2, a heart that deceives wicked schemes. Number 3, a false witness who pours out lies. And number 4, a person who stirs up conflict in the community, meaning the climax of the weaknesses is in the one who purposefully causes division. It's a kind of conflict that is done in secret, done by one who won't appeal through proper channels and does not submit to the proper authority. It is someone who stirs up conflict for the sole purpose of stirring up conflict. In those comments, I'll ask, you get your information right here. I have a phone number that's listed. Every one of us have a phone number that's listed. We have an email. I live here in this county. I'm not very hard to find. Most times, just be looking for 5 kids trained to me. You will find me. With that, I will pass it on to our county manager, Ms. Shaver.
Welcome to everybody here. It's nice to see all of you here today. If the board's okay, I've just got a few things I just want to address that were spoke about, if that's okay right now to do that, if that's okay. First of all, to our gentleman that spoke earlier, thank you for your service. My dad's a veteran, and I hold that in high regard, and I appreciate you being here today. I think everybody in this room I know in one way or another, and many of you have asked me in the past for information for things like that. I think I've always been able to provide you what you needed, continue to do that in the future, of course. And for Mr. Barger, if you want to contact me at any time, I'm glad to go over anything with you that you have information about. I've lived in Stokes County my whole life. I really care about what happens in our county. I want the best person possible to be in every job that we have. And I truly hope that nobody would actually quit their job if I was a permanent county manager. I feel like I have a really good working relationship with all of our department heads and employees. A lot of them have reached out to me and, just said those same things. And that being said, and it doesn't matter to me how we do the process, if it's posted, if it's whatever anybody wants to do, it's up to me, it's up to them. That our former county manager who retired in August of this year was appointed in June of 2018 with that same exact contract other than the 5-year part. that part also doesn't matter to me. If it's a year, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and take away the line 7. I'm not going to do anything that's going to want anybody to fire me for no cause. I mean, if I do something incorrect, please, by all means, fire me. But I don't think anybody's just going to want to fire me just because they don't like me, or I don't know. But I don't have an issue with any of those things not being in there. I'm just going to work my hardest and try my best to make everything as good as it can be. And I think since I've been here in both of these jobs and kind of have done them both, Amber and I have a good working relationship, and we're still working on some training and some things, and she's doing a good job. But since I've been here in this job, we've started that digital agenda system. I think everybody enjoys that. That was something that we didn't have before that I've put in place, and our board uses that, and our community is able to look at it and see all the information before the meetings, and that's a positive thing. And working closely with other departments and department heads on all their issues, and right now really focusing with animal control and their constraints with the shelter and doing the shelter committee, all the CARES Act funding from last year that we had all the strenuous reportings with, and nonprofit business programs and small business programs. And now we're dealing with the ARPA funding as well that Julie and I and Amber and lots of other staff have been working on for that. So, I'd just like to kind of see some of those projects to completion and hopefully do the best what's good for Stokes County. But in the end, it's up to our board on what they decide to do. And I'm willing to keep working here as interim, permanent, somewhere else. I mean, whichever. I just want to see Stokes County go forward and be prosperous in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to our chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 4, conflict of interest. Before moving any further, does any board member have a conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda for tonight, or one that could be perceived as a conflict of interest? With that, we move on to consent agenda. Do I have a motion on it?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now move on to information agenda, the Northwestern Regional Library update. Joan, is it Sheriff?
Sheriff, just one R, one F. Always gets attention. I've been kidded all my life. It's good to see all of you. Thank you so much for allowing us just to have a few minutes today to really thank you all for your support. We like to visit you at least once a year, and it's such a beautiful time of year here in Stokes County. And Stokes County is a beautiful, beautiful county. We all love it. I'm Joan Sheriff. I'm the director of the Northwestern Regional Library, Stokes, Surrey, Allegheny, and Yadkin counties. We have 13 libraries in our system. We are so proud of Stokes County and all that the libraries do, and it's always a pleasure to work with all of you too. I feel like Stokes is my home away from home. I know I've been able to work with some of you in other capacities and really enjoyed it, so thank you. I know you've got a long agenda today, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Mr. Browder is on the King Library Board too, so thank you all. And Julie, we go way back, right? So good to see everybody. But just real quickly, I think there were some handouts that were in your packets. And don't want to read those to you. I hope you've had a chance to look at them. Again, we just really do want to thank you for your past support to allow the libraries to really serve all the communities in Stokes County, including the Bookmobile. And it's really a pleasure to be able to serve here. I know you know the librarians, and want them just to update you really briefly on some of the things going on. But did want to just let you know a little bit about what happened last fiscal year. And I know it's November, almost December, but it was a good year last year in terms of library use, and we all know it was an unusual year, and there are a lot of things going on. The librarians just did such a good job in kind of, changing directions to be able to serve the public in a different way. We all know there were not as many walk-ins, but we were really glad when we did the state report, and this little page kind of says it all. You all know about state reports, that actually this is for the whole region, the 4 counties, but each county pretty well mirrored what the statistics are here, okay? So overall, this book circulation went up 10%, so people are definitely been reading, even maybe more so a little bit. The ebook are very popular. They went up 9%, the numbers of checkouts. And then the total circulation, which are things checked out, which are the books, the audios, the videos, the print, the digital, went up 7%. So again, thank you for your support for the libraries, because we see usage really increasing overall. So just wanted you all to know that your money is being well used, and we try to be very, very responsible with what happens there. On the other side of this little brochure is informational, or just some of the other services that are provided by the library, and I know a lot of you are familiar with them, but just kind of want to remind you, they're partnerships with the public schools, so we have student access. So, and Mr. Mendenhall's nodding his head, he knows about this, great. It's just the students with their student ID can use the database and check things out, which makes it easier for them, because we know everybody doesn't have a library card. We encourage library cards, but we don't want it to be a barrier. The summer learning programs are always big, and you all are very familiar with that. Certainly local history, the job labs, the libraries staff have been very busy helping people with employment and getting ready for employment too. So it's a lot of things. It's certainly our books and our AV and our digital services, but it's of course the staff and the people that make it happen. We do have an array of virtual services. A lot of them come through the state, NC Live, which is a wonderful databases, our ebooks, our audiobooks, streaming video, and Ancestry.com for those interested in genealogy. It's a very, very popular service. So if you're not familiar, please let us know. Just drop in your library or let us know what we can do to help. And we appreciate the support to be able to continue to offer these services. I did want to mention that the library system, the Northwestern Regional Library, did receive some ARP funds, ECF, emergency connectivity funds, and it's just a way to help some, to get some hotspots and some Chromebooks that can be circulated. And it's not hundreds, but it's some, and we really hope to be able to help out and fill a gap there. We were very glad to receive the grant, and they should be going out pretty soon. We also want to thank Kyle Hall, because I'm so glad to hear about all that he's done for Stokes County. He's just amazing, and again, helping get the budget passed. And also, we were delighted to hear that state aid to libraries, which affects all the libraries in the whole state, did get an increase this year, and it's been dropping for many years. So we're very grateful, and with those funds, we certainly want to put that to best use, so it really has a positive effect on the communities and people in it. And the last thing I just wanted to mention with this visit is this little chart right here. And we just realized during COVID, too, that, you know, every place has its own structure and bureaucracy and that kind of thing. And we just wanted to make sure everybody was really clear on this. As you know, the funding for the libraries here mainly comes from Stokes County, along with funding from King, Walnut Cove, and Danbury. And Danbury per capita is way up there. We're really pleased. But we do get the state aid that Kyle Hall helps support. And those funds come from the General Assembly down to the State Library. That's part of the Department of Cultural and Natural Resources. And then it goes by a formula, is divided in all the libraries in the whole state. And part of it is block grants, and part of it is based on population and average income. And those funds are used with the region to push out services and support to all 13 of our libraries. It translates into services that would be more expensive to be able to do in each county. The regional libraries were set up 60 plus years ago, really, to streamline services and save, especially rural areas, money, so there's not duplication. There are 12 in the state. But just wanted to kind of review how that works in case you have any questions. We are audited every year. If you ever have any questions about the funding, please let us know. We'd be glad to. And if you're ever, the headquarters office happens to be upstairs in the Elkin Library. So please, if you're ever over that way, drop in. We've got a little creek outside. It's a real pretty view. So please stop in. We'd love to see you there. So if we can do anything, please don't hesitate to let us know. It's a pleasure to see all of you. Again, thank you so much for your support. We truly appreciate you all supporting the third year of the salary study for our employees. As you all know, the regional board 4 years ago had done a study and found out that the average employee was 27% behind a comparable job in a comparable place. So with your help, we're getting them up to what, you know, is competitive, and you know, we'll keep working, but we really appreciate, and I know the staff does too, but you all have been so supportive of that, and we appreciate that. In fact, we've used you all for an example, so thank you all so much. I know you know the librarians here. Oh, here they are. They surprised me. They're so quiet. Gretchen and Christine and Lisa here, and I know they wanted to update you, but thank you all again.
Thank you, Joe.
Hello, good afternoon Everyone, it's good to see everyone again, with things kind of getting back to normal now from COVID. I have what I think is wonderful news for our Walnut Cove Public Library. In this past year, in September, we made the final building loan on our building. $600,000 loan paid off 2 years early due to, in part, all of the support from our county, our town, our citizens. We are just ecstatic that we were able to get this done. So that kind of leads into now, I know many of you are very aware of our Transform Your Library campaign that we do each year, and we greatly thank you for all of your donations to that. This is kind of leading into some more things to help our county and our town too. With those funds now, we're going to start being able to work on the library some. We want to start putting in very energy efficient lighting. Wanting to do some work on our circulation desk, but mostly my goal is to make us more energy efficient, which of course will save our taxpayers money in the long run. So that's something I'm looking very forward to. Here in the next couple of months, we plan on having a celebration since that loan has been paid off. Plus last year was our 50th anniversary for the Walnut Cove Public Library. So we look forward to having some form of celebration. So please look forward to the invitations. We would love to have you all there. Not really sure how it's going to work just yet, but we want to have a good celebration so that everyone can come out for that. Other things that we're working on right now, of course, with Windows 11 on the horizon. We're looking towards updating some of our technology to get it more user efficient. And also, the big thing that I'm working on right now, even though we're in November, it's time to start planning for all of our summer programs. We are, in Walnut Cove, going to try and have one of our biggest summer learning programs we've ever had, which will be a long-running program throughout the summer. So we're looking forward to working with our Stokes County United Fund on that and working with several organizations here in the county. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them. But otherwise, thank you very much for all of your support. It is greatly appreciated. We certainly, as a staff, both at Walnut Cove and all of our regional libraries, greatly appreciate everything that you do for us. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Gretchen Parker, the manager at the King Public Library. Again, I want to echo the sentiments from both Christine and Joan so far. Thank you for everything that you guys have done for us, all the support that you've given us over the years. I've been at the library almost 20 years now, and I know I see a lot of familiar faces of people who have used our library, and I appreciate that very much. Joan was talking a little bit about statistics, and on my way out the door, I grabbed our patron count of coming in last November, which was 1,181 this November, and we're not even done yet. We're at 1,584, so we've already had 400 more than we had this time last year. We are currently partnering with the Marine Corps Reserves, collecting toys for tots. As Joan mentioned, we have the Forsyth Tech Job Lab. We had one lady call just last week and had to cancel her appointment because she got a job. She didn't need them right now. So I thought that that was an excellent thing. We have started up a writing lab for students who might not be able to see their teachers during school hours. If they'd like to make an appointment with us, we have a lady who has her master's in English literature from Western Carolina, and she is going to take appointments to help people with any of their school papers, or if they're wanting to start a novel and just kind of needs an extra ear to hear some advice on which way to go. We've partnered with, we started a partnership with Poplar Springs Elementary. As some of you know, we have a mini story walk that's along our side lawn. They have kind of taken that ball and run with it on their own. We help get some books in for her and make copies of it so she can have those posted out at Poplar Springs Elementary. We are also partnering with West Stokes High School, and 3 of their alternative needs students come to us weekly to help us shelve, straighten, whatever we need help with. And the 3 ladies that we had this year have just been a joy to have. And lastly, we have really built up our book club base. So we have a King Public Library book club, a Reading North Carolina book club, a teen page to screen book club, and we have partnered with the King Senior Center and King Parks and Rec. They are doing their own book clubs that we get books in for them, and their patrons can come to us and check them out. Other than that, I very much appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'm Lisa. I'm at Danbury Library just down the hill. You probably go by there 20 times a day. If you have, you've seen the little red box out front. Looks like a little hut with shingles on it, glass door. And we started doing this food giveaway a while back, and it has just taken off. I mean, we fill it up at least once a day. We've already had to fill it up twice today. So that shows there's definitely a need for it. So what we're doing is, in our book sale this year, we've had an amazing donation of history books. It's not just romance, so if any of y'all like history, I would say come on down. A hardback is a hardback is 2 cans, and a paperback is a can, and we're just trying to keep our closet full of food so that when the box gets low, we can refill it back. So I appreciate y'all, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll move on to our discussion agenda now. Item A, the tax office agenda. Mr. Richard Brim.
Good afternoon.
Evening.
As always, I'll start off with our monthly tax collection status report. Pleased to report we've collected a little over $14.9 million, or 60.35% of the budgeted amount for this fiscal year. That's about $1.6 million ahead of where we were last year at this time, so that's really good. I have real and personal releases less than 100. There's 5 accounts that total $286.49. Have real and personal refunds less than 100. We have 1 account that's $12.32. Releases more than 100. It's 5 accounts for $1,673. Excuse me, and 8 cents. And then the final one is refunds more than 100. We have 1 account for $161.27. Final item I have, we have 2 late applications for elderly exemption. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments, Mr. Brim?
Thank
And
you.
I'd like to move, you're welcome, I'd like to move the releases and refunds more than 100 and the late applications for elderly exemption to the December 13th consent agenda.
All right, we'll do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too.
All right. Shannon, something's happened to my computer right here. It's not letting me
It's
pull
the
it.
revised voluntary agricultural district
Okay.
ordinance from Janus Pack from Solar
Okay.
Waters here to present.
It won't let me pull up none of the attachments. It's
Yes, it do.
yeah, it's cut off on me. So we'll go ahead and move to item B, the revised voluntary agriculture district ordinance. Janice Pack.
Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I just want to present some of the changes, and I'm going to post, they're posted here on the screen. These changes come down from the state, actually. The original Stokes County Voluntary Farmland Preservation Program ordinance was adopted on August 14, 2003. It was adopted to increase the identity of the agricultural community and to increase protection from non-farm development and other negative impacts on properly managed farms. There have been no updates since the original ordinance in 2003, and most of the changes that you're going to see here today are due to revisions to the North Carolina Senate Bill 605, which was approved July 2021. And these changes are minor. Are you all able to see this on your computer? 'Cause-
We've
okay,
got it,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, we've got
It's a
it.
little small, so I want to make sure. But we'll start with the current ordinance that we have right now. The first part we'll go over, and the changes I have in yellow is what we want to, that's the changes we want to make, and what's in blue is what the state recommends. So the first is Article 3 under the purpose, and one of the purposes listed states that the ordinance will increase protection from non-farm development, and the state would like that to read that the purpose of the ordinance will decrease the likelihood of legal disputes such as
She had to move my computer just a minute ago and it hit that, so it might have knocked it to mute. See if you got it now. All right, go ahead, Amber.
Okay. So, as the employee in the administrative aid fire marshal position, does a majority of the risk management duties not currently reflected in their description, the title and pay grade have been slightly altered to reflect that and make sure they're compensated for those extra duties. So in addition to her current title of administrative aid to the fire marshal, risk management coordinator 2 will also be added to her title, and her pay grade will increase from 32 to 34. That's the main changes.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this?
And will this take place immediately as soon as we put, will this go on the next action agenda and take place, if approved, take place immediately then?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So they're pretty much already doing those duties.
Right, that's, I just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Thank you for catching that and addressing that change because it needed to happen.
All right. Thank you. It says we'll be on the action agenda for next meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item D, United Fund request for realm of office space. Ms. Shaver?
So recently at a United Fund event, I was requested by Megan Bennett, who is their employee there, that they were in need of a space. They're actually losing their office space here in Danbury due to some repurposing of that building, and I think they're out of there as of March. They were trying to find something in Danbury, and they mentioned to me a vacant room in the old school building where the Cooperative Extension is located. It's not a large space, as you can see detailed in the proposed lease with them. It's literally a room. It's just a room that we're not using. Ms. Bennett states that that space is fine for her for what she needs the space for, that she doesn't have anything besides just, paperwork, things like that, an office space that would still be located in Danbury. Stuart Easter went down, our public works director, and looked over that room and said, that it would be an as-is, of course, space that they would use. And I talked to you all about this, about possibly letting them use this space for a little to no cost lease, and we seemed in agreement on that. So the lease in front of you is just the dollar lease on there. It identifies that specific area. I spoke to Ms. Bennett about this lease, and it's for the 8x14 room in the lower level. They would be required to provide their own internet, phone charges, things like that. I spoke with Mr. Easter about what he thought about utilities, and he said for that small of a space, it really was not going to make a big impact on our water bill or our power bill in that building, so if they can just provide their own utilities as far as phone, internet are concerned. And with what the United Fund does, as far as being a local and independent organization, they're not affiliated with any chapters or other organizations, and they help, just tons of people within our community, special needs, all kinds of emergency disaster things. Having this space be in Danbury and also not really paying rent anymore or for their major utilities would be a huge amount of money they can put back into the community for helping other people with that. She said it would just be almost like a whole year's worth of donation for them from one group for them. So if everybody is in favor of this lease, we can certainly, we can date it for the next meeting in December, as long as they have access to the building prior to March, so they can move all their records and get their internet set up in their phone. I think we can do it now or do it in December. It's totally up to you all what you'd rather do.
And would you mind getting me a copy of the lease? I couldn't get this to pull up yesterday, and it's not pulling up now, and I think Sonia said she couldn't get hers to pull up either.
Can you see yours? I can see mine.
Mine isn't either.
Like an era code. You try to pull
It's
it up.
really,
I wonder.
it says server error and broadboard web application is what mine says.
Yeah, that's what mine says.
Yeah, we've got that same.
I read it yesterday, and the salient point is, it's just a standard lease, really, and it's for $1 a year for consideration, so it's pretty straightforward, I think, so.
Were they pulling up for you at home, but just not here?
It
I couldn't get it
pulled,
to pull up yesterday.
yeah, I got it to pull up yesterday and read it. But
I wonder if
this
we're having
one,
an internet
it's
issue.
not
Your thing
coming
was
up
kind of
now.
logging off too, so, okay.
You can just email it to us
So we
before
just
the
email
next
you the paper
meeting,
copy
so we'll
before the
have
next
a,
meeting.
Next meeting, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's fine.
sounds good. So
Are there
action
any more
for the.
questions, comments on it? Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Move on to item E, the YVETI board appointments.
So Kathy Payne, who is the executive director of YVETI, requested that the Stokes County appointments for the YVETI board be revisited since the two current appointees are unable to continue serving on the board. So the current appointees we have represented right now are Chairman Nicholson and Commissioner Barney House. So to fill these positions, we're going to need either two more commissioners to be appointed or designees to be appointed by the board.
I just took the VIA one, so. Is it,
Well, I see everybody looking at me, so go ahead and,
are they all in Boonville? Is that where they always meet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they allow for any virtual?
and they haven't changed their meeting place yet.
No, I think it's still in that same
That's-
location in Boonville.
I had it when it first came on 5 years ago, so.
I can speak with Kathy Payne and ask if they can allow any kind of virtual participation. I would assume now with everything, a lot of things being virtual. So,
Can be helpful. It depends on, I mean, right now, I think we're still under the emergency order that allows for that kind of meeting scenario, but I don't know if you're not under the emergency order, if their bylaws
Right.
state you have to be there in person or not. But, I mean, to be honest, going to Boonville is, you know, for somebody that still works,
yeah.
it's hard. That's probably what Wayne's been running into, but Wayne's gonna be retired come January, so
Yeah, he could just,
might wanna reappoint him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will be available after
January.
Good idea.
Yeah.
do you want for us between this meeting and the next, since these have to be specific appointments, I mean, we still have to advertise them out there, but nobody can really come for those appointments, to find out from Kathy Payne if virtual meeting participation is okay for now and maybe even in the future? That might help if, you know.
Yeah, that would help.
determine.
Yeah, find that out, because we're not gonna take action on this today.
No. We'll contact her and find that out for the next meeting.
And can we get some more information before we do the nominations on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll just push that off.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll now move on to item F, the internet broadband expansion and RFP discussion. Ms. Shaver?
So at the last meeting, we had the presentation from River Street, and it generated the conversation between our board wanting to go ahead and put out an RFP or create an RFP to start the process of expanding our internet and broadband here in Stokes County. We had Mr. Glenn Knox, who's here today, come up, and he provided us with a state template that helped to provide a lot of information. There were a few changes that we made at his suggestion as well, and Glenda Pruitt and I, and he worked over this a lot. So I hope you can open this one here today, and hope you've been able to look over it and see if you all have any specific issues that you see or questions, input. I welcome anybody to anything, because I mean, this is not any kind of my expertise at all. So some of the things that Glenn was saying we should add, I trust his judgment because that's what he does for a living. But please let us know after you've looked over it what you think. And, you know, as far as like, some things we didn't add in as far as certain timelines on dates of when things were due, because until we get the RFP finalized and put it out, then we would put in all the timelines for everything that would be due back and all that. So just please let me know what you think of this and give me any input that we can change anything to make it better.
What's the general time frame once you submit the RFP to get it back? 2 weeks or a month? Or?
About a month, I think.
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones we looked at said 30 days. Some even were as much as 90, just depending, because it's a pretty large amount of stuff they have to get to you.
Right,
As
that's
far
what I
as
was
to come up and
noticing.
present. So, you know, anywhere from 30 to 90 days on that.
Is that up to us to decide that then?
On what you'd like is fair to give.
You finished something? The one thing I'd like to have added to it, I think it's a great RFP. I don't see hardly anything wrong with it. And I'd worked with him before, so I think he really knows what he's doing. I would like to put something in there and maybe get Glenn Knox to word it that says we would like the successful bidder to be able to actually do the work, I guess, or to help us look for additional outside funding.
Yeah.
And to also help us apply for that outside funding. I mean, actually do the work if possible, if
Yeah,
he
they
says that's
actually-
okay. So
Like we did with the RFP for the water project and asking the bidder on that to look for other
yeah, exactly.
resources.
Yeah, just put something to that effect in there, and make sure it's focused toward funding for a priority-wise unserved people, and then underserved, and probably not for currently the people that have the 125 or whatever. I don't see them going for money for that, but for the two unserved and underserved, it would be good to have them help us do that.
Yeah, okay.
And As far as the time frame goes, we need to not miss this February funding window he mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago. It was November to February, I think, had to get an application in, or we need to get it out in time to get a winner and somebody can go for that money.
And if you all want to, I mean, we can certainly add that and bring it back to you in December and have you approve it then and then put it out afterwards, or we can make the changes you want to make and then have some deadlines set for dates and put the RFP out as soon as possible. So up to you all how you want to do that.
I think as soon as possible.
I do too, I agree. I just put that in there and then go do it.
Add that.
That and put it in there, and do we need to move it to action
We
today?
have to move to action and approve it with the changes that we need, any other changes that you notate today. So we want to decide on the deadlines as far as timeline on turnaround for it. So if we put it out, if we make that change and put it out even this week, then a 30-day timeline to respond, a 60-day, a 90.
Get him to give you a feel for that, what he does, what he's done, recommended on the other ones.
Yeah. So, okay.
You wouldn't want to do 90 if you're trying to
All right,
get it
this
in.
is big, it has to be quick.
Yeah.
Needs to be 30 years.
Yeah, 30 or
30 should be reasonable.
30's reasonable, I would do
30,
that, yeah.
50 capsule.
And then if he thinks of something else he forgot, I'd put that in too, as long as it comes from him.
Real quick before we give him anything else, Mr. Knox, can you come up for a second?
And I apologize for the sweatshirts, but after losing weight over the summer, everything's cold. Everything's cold. I would make one comment, and that is, right now, it's really hard to find fiber gear, wireless gear. Everybody's buying this, okay? So the sooner you get the RFP out, the better off you are, okay? I mean, right now, there's an 85-week backlog on fiber.
Yeah, we heard that a couple of weeks ago too.
So, I mean, it keeps going up. It's not getting any better, so.
And we did add to the RFP in there about the timeline on once the work is started, the completion date would be, I think, 3 years
Yeah.
from the start date, unless they could provide adequate documentation to show that they had ordered equipment, that it hadn't come in, because that could be a possibility, and that would be of no fault of their own.
And that's exactly right. And that's one of the things that we had talked about is with these long timelines now, you don't want to put something out there and just set somebody up to fail. I mean, that's what you're doing. So I think it's much better to do it this way. But anyway, thank you so much.
Thanks for your help on it.
30 or 60 days? It would
60 days would be
60
a good
at
day.
least to
Good.
do the
That would
turnaround
be
for the
good.
RFP. Okay.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I got somebody text me and said they didn't have any sound on the.
I had about
fixed
7
it.
of those too earlier, but I think,
Okay now?
yeah,
Laura
I think it's
fixed
not- yeah, when David peeked his head in and said, yeah, I think we're good now. Yeah, I had all kinds of texts too, and I wasn't sure what was
I think
happening.
the button got hit accidentally.
During the computer
when
switch
the
out.
Water knocked out over.
All right, we'll move to item G, the Christmas meal, county Christmas meal. Shannon?
This is me. So today, in talking with a couple of different department heads, you know, in the past, we've done a big county Christmas meal down at the sheriff's office in the lobby for the employees to come to. Last year, we did not do that because of COVID, putting everybody in one space just didn't feel like a good idea. And last year, there was the Christmas bonus that was given out to all the employees, and that felt like that was good, and we can move from that. This year, I've had a couple department heads to ask me about doing separate Christmas events in their own departments, like just ordering a lunch for everybody and having lunch. I still wouldn't want to do a big mass gathering just because, we're all kind of in our defined spaces, but putting us all in one room sometimes is probably not the best with 300 people. What I wanted to know from you all is, would you be okay with, we usually put that out to some local restaurants, have them bid on it, choose the lowest amount one, and then that's who does the Christmas meal typically. If the department heads wanted to reach out to some local places or order lunch from somewhere, if we kept it within reason, set a maximum on that of, prices have gone up from a couple years ago when we did it. When we did this meal 2 years ago, it was $10 a person, and that was pretty low cost. I think if we set a maximum of 15 per person and try to go and keep it under that, would it be okay if the department heads were allowed to sort of just schedule their own Christmas lunches for their departments, have those in their own departments, and that be our, county Christmas meal we usually do as a group, but just to try to, hopefully next year we can have a normal holiday and do that, but I think this year just to be on the safe side, but I still want them to be able to feel like they're having that within their own departments. If that's something that you all would be in favor of letting them do that.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with that.
Is that what they want to do?
Reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few to reach out and say they just would like to have, at least have something in their own departments until we can hopefully make sure all this will be better and we can have our normal, larger gathering.
I think that's reasonable. I got a salad at Zaxby's today for $10.
Right, I think we can, I think they can
15
keep
is
it,
not.
we can set it, we can set it at whatever amount we think is reasonable. I was trying to figure the inflation, a little bit of different things,
Yeah.
12, whatever, I just said under 15 just to be safe.
Can't even get a drink.
I know.
That's reasonable.
Okay, well, I can go ahead and let them know about that and we can do
Okay.
that. Okay. Thank you.
I will move on to our action agenda. Item A, the Vallejo Regional Board appointment request. At the last meeting, the consensus of the board was to nominate Commissioner Sonia Cox and DSS Director Stacy Elms to the Vallejo Regional Board. I'll open the floor for any further nominations.
Make a motion that we close nominations.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
I don't know if I can,
You can vote for yourself on this. I'll now poll the board, start with Commissioner Morris.
Cox and
Helms.
Cox and Elms.
Cox and Helms, sorry. All right, item B, the approval of the water tower. Do I have a motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
In discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I meant to mention it during my opening comments, but I would like to have our folks look into the three items that Mr. Ritter mentioned, just to see if there's a precedent for doing those kind of things or whatever, when we put the tower up.
Fine with that, yeah.
I made a note of those too.
And do we have to redo the motion with that, or can that just be a consensus on that?
Just a consensus is fine, we can look
Okay.
at it.
All right, a motion is second. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Item C, offer to purchase surplus property. Have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Item D, request for additional position in Sheriff's Department. Have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
Amendment number 44.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Budget amendment number 44.
Okay. Sorry about that, it went down right here.
Sorry.
This is the one for the courthouse, correct?
Correct. And they, that'll take them some time to get that hired trained, so it won't be an overnight position, but they'll have to get somebody in there. But yes, that is what it's for.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Item E, the county manager proposed contract approval. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve it, but I do have some comments.
Okay.
So, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to make them, but I will. So, I think with the people who came out today to have concerns about this, they brought up some concerns. So, there were already some things that I had been thinking about that needed to be looked at with this contract. I'm in favor of offering Shannon a contract, but I do believe that we should stick with the 3 years that our former county manager had instead of the 5. And I think that makes more sense. I do think there needs to be a clause added about a yearly evaluation, performance evaluation that will be done on a yearly basis. I don't know if that's just a given and it was just an oversight that I didn't see it anywhere in there, but we talked about doing one for Mr. Oakley, but he was fixing to retire, so we chose not to do it, knowing he was retiring. The 4 calls part, I think that you could add dereliction of duties. That's kind of broad topic, and it's nothing I'm concerned about with Ms. Shaver, but I think just saying insubordination might not cover all the bases. So if that pleases the board and it pleases our attorney and Ms. Shaver agrees with that, I think that could be added. Other than those items, of the change to 3 years, the evaluation of her performance and dereliction of duties is part of the reason you could dismiss someone for cause. I will say that, we are elected by the people, and we're, the people can hold our feet to the fire, and they're supposed to. I mean, one gentleman brought up about being a good steward of the public trust, and if when I ran for office, that's on my cards. That's one of the bullet points on my cards, and I think it is important. We've worked with Shannon. I've only worked with her for a year. I feel like we are promoting from within because she was the assistant county manager and now would be our county manager. I think we're headed in the right direction, that she's the right choice for now. She's brought this board into the 21st century and done so much behind the scenes that people don't realize and know about, because she's not one to toot her own horn, and we probably don't appreciate her enough publicly for the things that she does do for this board. She's consistent, she's trustworthy, she has shown a willingness to learn things that she doesn't know, she has integrity, and the things that have to be kept in confidence in that job is huge, and her and Amber have both shown that, and I'm pretty excited about a female team, not to bring gender into this, because it really shouldn't be, but it's pretty exciting to see two females that are that confident, that are pushing this county forward. I feel like Shannon knows our county. Our county's unique, and we all know this. Someone who could come in here and maybe on paper look like, the goose that laid the golden egg on paper, but they don't know our county. They may not know our county. They may not know how to pronounce Francisco. They may not know what part of Germington is in Forsyth and Stokes. They may not understand that this county is separated geographically by a mountain range, and once you cross over that mountain range, things are a lot different, and different for the better, in my opinion. The bigger and more, it takes me 10 minutes to get out of the parking lot of my shop. I'm like, Lawsonville's looking really good right now. So I'm telling you, it can be for the better to cross that mountain range. But that's something that somebody that's here, that understands our people, our departments, the people in our departments. I just don't think it's the right time to make a big change when we've got so many things going that we can just hit the ground running. She's trying to train Amber, and she's doing a great job with bringing Amber up and getting her up to speed. And that's not even anything we're paying her any extra for. She's just been doing that for us to help us. And, I just feel like that it just behooves us right now in this. And when you look at the news media and you see all that's going on with other towns, with managers who they think are good, but, leave their town in a mess and under scrutiny of breaking the law and stuff. I just think that's something I know I don't have to worry about with Shannon, and I'm just think it's the right fit for us for right now. So that's my.
So I want to make sure I get it. You want to make your motion based on changing to a 3-year contract, taking out paragraphs. What you say now?
I said
make your motion
to,
with what you're wanting to change.
Okay, so my motion would be to change the contract to a 3-year contract, adding dereliction of duties, or if you want to word that differently, Ty, as called for cause, and that there will be a yearly performance evaluation.
Okay, so I have a motion on that.
So just to make sure you're, and I'm in agreement with that, on that length of contract from 5 to 3, and that's under number 7, I think, where it says, Jefferson, in the event that the county elects to terminate, et cetera.
Right.
It's in that.
It would be, add that in there.
Reducing the contract length of contract from 5 years to 3 years. And also a yearly performance evaluation. And then I'd say our chairman and our attorney get together on that dereliction of duties.
So if you want to
How
word it a different
word that.
way, but. And again, I will say, because we were asked question, this basically is the same contract that Jake had, except for the difference in the years. So it wasn't anything we came up with off the top of our heads or anything. And I agree, it's a little worded a little different than I've seen other contracts too, with the specifics of what you can be. I think they're all good things that you could be dismissed for, but maybe to broaden that just a little bit would be good.
Are you making a
Maybe
motion
you
with
just
that?
add something about just anything, like, follow the personnel policy. I mean, because that's pretty much defines everything in the personnel policy. I don't know if that's something you could do, Ty. I don't know.
I'll work on that.
Or we can just bring it
That,
up.
that's fine.
So you're making that as a motion
I am.
with the length of the contract going from 5 to 3 and doing a performance evaluation on a yearly basis.
Right.
And the third one, Ty and the chairman, and we'll work out the wording on the duties.
Dereliction of duties
that
or,
correct?
yeah.
Would you make a motion based on those 3 changes? I will second the motion based on those changes.
Okay, any discussion? Hey, Commissioner Morrison.
I can't support the contract as you guys want to do. I think the last time this job was competed is when I was selected for it in 2011. It's a senior job in the county. We've got our salary scale up to where we're very competitive with other counties now. And I just really can't see any scenario where you would take a position at this level, or really any level as far as that goes, and not go through the fair process of competition and allowing other folks to compete for the job. We've got some very talented people in the county that would be internal candidates if they desired.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Morrison, you said somebody was interviewed the first time you was hired as the county manager?
I said I don't think we've had a competitive selection for county manager since I competed for it in 2011.
Okay, 2011. How long was you there for on that?
Can I finish my comments and then answer your questions?
Yeah, sure.
That'd be okay. This is really a very important job, and this, like I said, this doesn't relate to Shannon at all. I said the same thing whenever we created the assistant county manager position, and no competition was offered for that. We have people that have worked here for decades, that have multiple college master's degrees, you name it. It would all be competitive, and whenever we go through a series of let's appoint an interim and then let's make the interim permanent, that basically just tells them that there's no need to apply. And if they do, it could even be held against them in some cases, probably. So I just think it's kind of a travesty to send that message and then expect our department heads to follow the process. Equal opportunity. We're an equal opportunity employer. We're supposed to be bending over backwards to make these processes fair and get the best candidates for the job. So there's no way that I could support just doing this over and over and over again, like we're tending to do here. As far as the contract goes, I agree with what somebody said earlier. Any contract you put a reasonable severance package in, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. I guess another question I have is why do we need to address this right now? there's a primary coming up in a year from now. We could have 3 new commissioners sitting here on the board. And I think things like that kind of need to be factored into the decision. So I don't even understand exactly why it needed to be brought up and dealt with at this point. If I was doing a contract, the narrow definition of cause it gave me some problems in the contract. Cause could be any number of things that are not specifically listed there, and I think you'd have to really look at it on a case-by-case basis to determine if you were doing termination for cause. It's kind of interesting, we're doing a contract, but then it tracks along with the pay increases and so forth, like it was under the county pay scale. So it's about, I guess, the healthiest salary we have in the county, the range based on the new pay scale. So I think if we were doing a contract, we would need to really look at whether it needs to do that or whether it needs to be treated separately as a contract with its own set of increases and how the pay scale would be handled, basically. It also has paragraph 12 in there where it talks about board directives and taking only the chair would be the main person that can give directives or something. I didn't really follow all that. To me, all the commissioners are equal. They all can deal with the county manager individually as they see fit. And so I would challenge that if we were doing a contract. If we were advertising a contract like this and, with this new pay scale and everything, I can't imagine how many people may apply for it. I mean, it's a pretty good package, and it's an unreasonable package with this 3-year, with this thing where it pays itself out over the years, in my opinion. That goes way more than what a severance package should. I guess I go back and just say one more time, I really don't think when we set up here as this board, we're sending a very good signal to the rest of the employees about how we should select employees whenever we do it one way and make them do it another way. So with that, I'll take any questions anybody has.
You said something about you interviewed for it back in 2011 and you quit, correct? And came back.
Yeah, I did it. I was interviewed for it twice, once in 2004 and then again in 2011. I went to Washington, D.C. and worked 5 years in between.
Okay. Anytime was you an interim?
I think I was interim for a few months on one of the two, maybe the second one. I don't know if I was interim on the first or not.
Okay. And did you go straight in to being county manager from that?
Yeah, but I competed to become one to start with.
Okay.
With other people.
Anything?
I can't support it based on that. Like I said, it's nothing personal with Shannon, but it's just,
Anything you want to add?
it doesn't make any sense at all to me.
We've got a motion and a second, and
I'm just going to say something.
we've given everybody, I think, a chance for discussion unless you want to add something.
Yeah, I'm just going to add something real quick. I keep hearing qualifications. I would hate to think what somebody would think of me if they just looked at me on paper. And, two of our greatest presidents we've ever had in history have their faces up on Mount Rushmore. Washington and Lincoln, they have no college degrees. Does that mean they wasn't qualified to be president? Don't look like it. Obviously, do our best. On the other hand, we've had 2 recent presidents, plus our current president, fully educated. That's really working out good for us, ain't it? So, once again, might be fully educated, but not qualified to run the country. And I think we're all seeing it because of our back pocket right now. I don't judge somebody on education or not. I don't blame anybody for wanting to get further education. My son's doing it right now. He's in college. I actually started to do some myself, and then I pulled out because the family business was growing. I come in to help. I have no problem with it at all, but when Shannon left us the first time, we done a interview process, and things got a little crazy there for a little bit. Poor Jake thought he was going to stroke out. He had a lot to hit him there at one time. And there wasn't very many people that applied for Shannon's job. Out of all, I'd say we had about 2 qualified applicants out of it. And Ms. Brown was the one who ended up getting the job. And now going to this, we was blessed to even get her back, and with the exception of just a couple of weeks, she did come back and kind of help out with Jake and Amber, trying to help keep things going so it wouldn't be a headache for us, it wouldn't be a headache for our county. Am I overlooking anybody else? No, I'm just a conservative. Each time we have a meeting, you guys have to pay us for it. And I've also, I think one of the reasons why my dad and my mom's successful and I'm successful, because we've always lived by, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. And Shannon has the full trust of this board. As a matter of fact, proven it many times. I know you guys don't see that, but I do, and I wouldn't hire anybody to set them up for failure because it reflects on this board. I can recall when I was first elected and on this board, I think it was our second meeting, it was right there, it was the day after Christmas. I received an email from Shannon, I believe it was Christmas Eve, like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? But she never stopped working. And even at that time, wasn't being paid for it. And was even lied about having a secret pay raise. She still stuck through with us. She kept her head up, she done her job. She hasn't lied about anything. She's pushed forward. And as far as 50 employees saying they're going to quit, I haven't heard that. I talked to a lot of the county employees. A lot of people are satisfied with Shannon because she actually works with them to try to resolve cases instead of making them worse. So she has my full confidence in that, and she's proven it many times with my 3 years on this board. And it's not that I doubt anybody else, but I'll be frank with you. I am a big person about hiring somebody inside this county. If you don't live inside this county, who knows what you're going to do? You might be qualified, you might be the best one out there. Does that mean you're going to work for this county? No, it don't. If you don't live here and you don't beat these people when you go to the grocery store, you're not going to be held to fire like Sonia said there. Shannon does, and she knows a lot of people in our community and is more willing to help any of them out. She's just like the rest of us. She has an email here. You can contact her at any time with any information. And I've seen several that has contacted her, and she's got it back to them in a timely manner. So with that right there,
I'd like to just make a couple of comments based on that. You know, this ain't about Shannon and how good a job she does. It's about us following our personnel procedures and setting an example for the other folks that work in the county. And as far as education goes, you know, when I go down to the doctor to have my knee replaced and the doctor ain't there, I don't say, well, let's just have the nurse do it. You know, I like somebody that's got some education and experience, or at least to give them an opportunity to apply.
Well, manager and a doctor's two different things.
Well, these jobs are important too. They're not doctor and nurse jobs.
I didn't say they wasn't important.
But they're extremely important, and the way these jobs are executed have a lot to do with how well our public and our voters are taken care of. And you know, we just go cycle after cycle, no competition. Put your favorite person in the
Has nothing to do with favorite.
And it's what I call crony hiring. I've been calling it that ever since I got here in 2004. I fought it tooth and nail when I was a county manager. And then, so here we go again. So I don't have anything else to say, but I'm not going to support it.
I'm starting to wonder, I mean, what is the deal here? Is it jealousy or is it because she's a woman? What's the deal here?
No, it definitely isn't because she's a woman. I happen to have a career or two before I got here, one in the federal government. We're in an organization in Los Angeles, California. I was the first person to appoint both a black and female person to be my deputy in a rather high-speed job at the time. So I have a history of working with women and appointing them to key positions. I did the same thing at Redstone Arsenal. Had the first deputy program manager down there, so don't twist it in that direction, okay?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Don't twist it in
Don't
that
twist
direction.
what?
You know what you said, never mind.
No, I didn't hear what you said. Would you mind repeating that?
I said, don't twist it in the direction that I'm against women or something.
Just asking.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. Rick, do you need any more time?
No, I don't.
Andy, do you need any more time? If not, we've got a motion in a second. I know I'm not the chairman, not trying to be the chairman. Was the chairman at the time too, but we've got a motion in a second. Everybody's had a chance for discussion. The motion's on the floor. I say we take a vote.
Okay. If there's no more discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Passes 3-1.
We'll move on to item F, the Internet Broadband Expansion RFP. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve with the changes about the 60-day and the other additional funding that they could find for us that we talked about,
Okay.
those changes.
And I'll send you all out a copy before it officially goes out, even though we're going to go ahead and put it up for the next meeting, but I'll send you a copy anyway.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'll make a motion.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.